Paul Wellens, the assistant coach at the St Helens club, joins me now. I want to talk about St Helens and the success, because you are about to play, well, not yourself, but you're coaching your side to play in a record 14th grand final, 4th in a row. What is the secret to the success of this great club?
Well, I think certainly in the recent success, I think when I look at the group of players that we have here, we've obviously got players with great ability, players who play the game at a really high level. But I think what they have in ability, they match in work ethic. And I think that's the most important thing. There's a real desire to be successful and a real willingness to work hard from each other. And, I hear Courtney there speak around things around connections. What I see with the group that we have here is a group that's really connected and a willingness to work hard for each other. And, when you combine all those ingredients, it makes for a successful team.
One big talking point ahead of this grand final is, of course, Morgan Knowles, your star forward, another star forward that you're going to be missing. He was given that 2-game ban. I'm interested in your take on the suspension. First and foremost, from Morgan Knowles' point of view, we're really disappointed for him. And I think, showpiece occasions, you want your best players out there, and Morgan Knowles is certainly one of those. But obviously the situation we find ourselves in, and, we are a performance-driven industry, and what we've had to very quickly do here at St Helens is get on with the job. So we've had a training session this afternoon, and we start to prepare with the players that we do have, and obviously Morgan's a huge loss, as he would be for any team, but we have to move on with that. So in his absence, who needs to step up?
Well, I think what this group do really well is they all step up together. It's not one individual that will come to the fore there. We have to figure out who's going to fill that spot, and that's something that Christian will decide on in the coming days. But whoever comes in there, we know they'll have a work ethic, we know they'll have an energy about them and a real willingness to win, and that's what we'll have across the group, and that's what's most important.
Okay, I want to head back to Headingley now, because we've got Jamie Jones-Buchanan there standing by. And Jonesy, if anyone knows about grand finals, it's you, because you have won 7 of them. I want to talk about the turnaround in the Leeds Rhinos. I mean, I know this is what we've been talking about for the last few months, if you like, because you go back to Easter and your side was 2nd from bottom. You are now going to Old Trafford on Saturday. How on earth have you achieved that?
It's a great question, Jenna, and I think of those 7 grand finals you talk about, each one's got a story. And this could have the best story. There's still a lot to do. We haven't won anything yet, and we've got to prepare really well. But I think there'll be a great deal of reflection on this year, because if sport's about learning lessons and growing as individuals and as teams and togetherness, then we've got to reflect on some of the mechanics of what have manifested this year. Obviously, Rowan Smith played a massive part. He's lifted the lid on the potential within this group. I think that potential's always been there. It hasn't always come to fruition for whatever reason, but it has done at the right end of the year, and they're really looking forward to preparing for what could be a really special occasion.
You mentioned Rowan Smith, the head coach. He came over in May. He has taken charge of 18 games, and of those 18 games, he's produced 13 wins. I mean, Jonesy, he's producing quite the head coach CV, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think that head coach CV's been probably building for him for the last 20 years. You think about the pedigree, where he comes from. In Brian Smith, obviously, his uncle Tony was a big catalyst in my generation's success, and he's very much his own man. And when you go through his journey, I'm sure he's been across some of the best coaches in the world, and I'm not just talking about rugby league either. The pedagogy, the teaching part of Rowan Smith covers a multitude of things, not just what goes on the grass, and everything from psychology to S&C, and he's across everything, and he understands all the nuances of performance ultimately, and he's brought all those little pieces to the Leeds Rhinos. And credit to Gary Etherington as well for spotting Rowan Smith as that candidate, that individual to do that. And I think when he's rearranged that jigsaw puzzle that has been the Leeds Rhinos team in 2022, he's rearranged it in a way that's made the picture really clear, and the boys are playing with a smile on their face. They're starting to release their own potential, and it becomes contagious, and it becomes a habit when you go through the right processes. And he talks a lot about processes, and you get the win at the weekends, then it reaffirms that what you're doing is correct, and it just gets replicated, becomes habitual, and that is a collective effort. You know, it's been brilliant to see. It's redefined a lot of the way that I think, reframed some of the models I had in my own mind based on previous success. You know, we've become indoctrinated with our own beliefs and ideas about what success looks like. And I've probably learned this year that you can't always copy and paste one generation to another, or some of the lessons that you learn. It's been really enlightening for me. It's been a great year in that respect, and Rowan Smith's been a revelation. But just really quickly as well, I think you learn the character of individuals through adversity, and the character of the players has been exceptional this year. Effort's never lacked. I think some of the young blokes that have stood up in, like Jack Sinfield, Morgan Gannon and Max Simpson at some really important occasions has been fantastic as well. You know, they're real stars for the future. And you've got to mention Rich Hunnick's head of performance, James Bledsoe, head of our analysis, and Sean Long have really dug deep when it's been tough and probably don't get all the recognition that they deserve as well. So it's been a collective effort through some pretty dark moments, but without a doubt, you know, Rowan Smith has led the way and been the catalyst for this success.
Jonesy, you're very modest. As everyone that I've spoken to, I know that a lot of the credit has to go to you as well. Now, Wello, talking about successful coaches, there are few that are more successful than your head coach, Christian Wulff. He does leave this club at the end of the year, but he's going for a record third straight grand final win, something that nobody has ever achieved in Super League before. What is the legacy that he leaves behind?
Well, I think, you know, the team that you see on the field now is a direct reflection of its leader. You know, it's a team with a strong work ethic. It's a team with an honesty. It's a team that's a willingness to do whatever it takes to win. And Christian embodies all those qualities as well. And, you know, not just that in terms of performance, but he's also a great guy off the field. He's really easy to get along with, but he's honest and upfront as well. And I think they're all the qualities that any player would love in a head coach.
Jonesy, I want to come back to you because you, as we know, were part of that golden generation at the Rhinos, a team that many believe is the greatest ever to play in Super League. I don't want to ask you about the Leeds Rhinos. I want to ask you about St Helens, because they are going for an unprecedented fourth straight grand final win. If they are to achieve that over your Leeds Rhinos, does that make St Helens the greatest ever to play in Super League?
They've certainly got a great argument, haven't they? And they encapsulate some of the best virtues that I respect and admire as a professional sportsman, without a doubt. I think it's not just a four in a row. They've been exceptional and they're top at league every single week of those 4 years. You know, first, second or third maybe, I'd have to look back, but they're always exceptional. And to be able to churn out that performance week in, week out in a gladiatorial game like rugby league is exceptional. You know, you're talking about Paul Wellens there, mentioning doing what it takes and each player understanding their role and the standard at which they play at. I think they've played at a level of intensity that is exceptional and that nobody else has been able to match. And that's what's so impressive about that St Helens team. And even when they do get a little bit busted, they turn up for one another and they keep fighting, you know, whether that be in March, April, May or grand final time, which to me is really impressive. And again, that in itself becomes habitual in that everything you do, you go hammer and tongue at it, which is why they're so difficult to beat. It's admirable for me because every week teams go to St Helens and they feel like they're playing a grand final. So Saints have got to play a grand final every week, which is why they're prepared for the game at the back end of the year. So massive challenge, but if you want to write your name down in history, you've got to overcome massive challenges. And I think, you know, the Leeds Rhinos this year have come from some of the darkest, deepest depth that I've ever seen a sports team come from.
There you go, Wello. Kind of, sorta. The great Jonesy has almost said that if you do beat the Leeds Rhinos, your club might just be the greatest to ever play in Super League. How does that sit with you?
It sounds very nice, and particularly coming from someone like Jones, he obviously knows what it's like to be part of successful teams and not just win competitions, but win competitions successively. And you know, Jones is someone I've known well and played alongside since being a junior. I know what he's all about as a person. He was a fabulous player, and no one competed harder than him. So, you know, for someone like him to speak of our team like that, it means a great deal.
Now, before I let you go, I think, given I have you here, it would be remiss of me if I didn't ask, given I've mentioned that Christian Wulff, the head coach, is on his way out. He's going back to Australia. You have been linked with that top job. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask if it's true, if it's happening. Instead, I'm going to ask you, is it a job that you want?
Oh, look, ever since I got into coaching, my ambition was always to one day become a head coach, and that's not changed. And look, I have spoken to the club, and it's a position that I'd like to take up. However, the club are in agreement that any discussions or any further discussions that do take place will wait till the end of the season, because you know, what's at the forefront of our minds as a club is what happens over the next 4 or 5 days.
Well, Paul Wellens, it's been an absolute pleasure having you as part of this special edition of the Rugby League Verdict. Jamie Jones-Buchanan, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I just want to finish up by wishing you both the very best of luck, and of course, may the best team win.
Thank you.
And of course, Super League Grand Final 25 gets underway on Saturday between St Helens and the Leeds Rhinos. Coverage starts at 5 p.m. and you can catch it on Sky Sports Main Event and Arena. You don't want to miss this game.